So the story goes that there were these three brothers and sisters, Lazarus and Mary and Martha, who lived in Bethany, was just a couple of miles from Jerusalem. And Lazarus got sick, and he died. Now, these three were close friends of Jesus, so they sent word to Jesus, who was in Jerusalem, and told him of this news. And when Jesus heard it, he was struck by his own grief at the loss of his friend. But he didn't go immediately to Bethany for whatever reason. But one of the reasons might have been because it was actually quite dangerous for him to go to Bethany, because there were people, he had been doing his ministry and causing an uproar among the authorities, and he would have risked his own death and that of his followers if he went to Bethany. But after 2 days, he did. He went, and his disciples went with him, even though they were risking their own lives to do that. And as the story goes, he was even away from the house where they lived, where his friends lived. And both Mary and Martha came out and had conversations with him outside of the house even before he got there. And there were other people around. It says in the story that Jews had come from Jerusalem to stay with a family. There were a lot of people around. This story was not happening in the isolation of this relationship between Jesus and his three friends. And when Martha came out, actually both of them said to him, if you had been here, this wouldn't have happened. But Jesus said first to Martha, do you believe that if people believe in me, that you will live, you will have life? And Martha said, yes, I believe that in the end time, in the great end time, that this will happen. Jesus said, no, I'm talking about something a little bit different, something a little bit more immediate. And Mary came out, just consumed by her grief, and she wept, and Jesus wept with her, feeling for her and feeling his own sense of loss. And he said, where have you put him? Where have you laid the body? And so they took him. They took him to this tomb, which is really just a cave carved out in the wall with a stone in front of it. And Jesus said, move the stone. And Martha said, but the body has been in there for 4 days. It's going to smell awful. And yet Jesus said, move the stone. And they moved the stone out of the way. And Jesus said just a brief prayer to God. And then he lifted both hands high. He said, Lazarus, be opened. And Lazarus came out of the tomb, still wrapped in the grave clothes, from head to foot. But there he was, standing before them. Jesus said, unbind him, let him be free. And of course, that's not the end of the story. There were all those people around. Some of them immediately believed because what they have seen. But the other part of the crowd went off to the authorities to tell them what Jesus had done.